Hello everyone, it's John Grimm of Grimm Swords and Knives, and today we're going to be doing a disassembly of the Ganzo G753 and G10 handle scales. And the reason I'm doing this is because it was brought to my attention that not a lot of people may know how to disassemble this knife for maintenance if they choose to do that. And that's a pretty good point, because axis locks are very different from your typical liner locks or frame locks. Because it's not just one of the liners is bent or the frame is bent and that is locked. I need to clean this knife out anyway. Used the heck out of it the other day at work. So let's jump right to this. First thing you're going to do is remove the pocket clip, because pocket clip screws straight into one of the liners, and in order to completely disassemble this knife, to maintain it, you have to remove the pocket clip. You have to completely remove the scale, that way you can get to the spring, that way you can remove the spring, that way you can remove the locking mechanism and the knife, and it's complicated. It's nice when you have a knife that you don't need to completely disassemble anything, but alas, that's not the case with this knife. This video is going to be longer than my usual videos because I'm doing a disassembly video rather than just talking about a knife video. Once that's removed, you can begin to remove the handle scale screws. Also takes a T6. Just unscrew that, easy peasy lemon squeezy. A pro tip to any disassembly is organize your screws. Because you might think that, oh, maintaining your knife is easy, the disassembly was so easy. Yeah, well, the reassembly of the knife is always going to be the hardest part. So what I will be doing, unfortunately, oh, this is coming undone, is taking this, sticking it in the hole, no jokes guys, pinning that gently, that way you don't scratch or bend anything, and just hold that in place as I unscrew, and it works. It's a hassle, but it works. I'd much rather not have to do that, but I mean, I only paid $20 for a quality knife, so there are gonna be some issues, right? Voila! I would like to be using this, my Kershaw TX Tool, and just my Kershaw TX Tool, but I lost my T6 torque bit, which breaks my heart. And because of that, I had to resort to buying this. I like this, it works great. And it gives you really good torque on the harder to undo screws and whatnot. It's a good tool to have. Just doesn't, I prefer the sort of, I don't know. I prefer the way this one feels. So now that the hardware screws are undone, what I like to do is open up the blade and just go to town on the hardware, on the pivot screw. Try to remember which side goes to where. So this is the G10 handle scale. This is what the inside portion of it looks like. Feels nice and solid too. Very little give. That's the side. There is your beautifully milled out steel liner on the inside. Seriously, really, job well done there, guys. This is really milled out. So I have to remove the G spring thing in order to take this out, but I have to do that on both sides, which is why you had to remove the pocket clip. So now I'll go over to this side, remove this pivot screw. Remove this one, see it's the same thing, just mirrored for the other side. This is very simple stuff, guys, for now. Don't be so alarmed by the locking mechanism. It seems difficult and complicated because, you know, it involves a spring and stuff and you have to completely disassemble it. It seems difficult. Just take your time, pace yourself. It may take you a while to, put it back together. But as long as you guys pace yourself and you don't do anything hastily, you should be fine. I'm just cleaning off the excess oil that was there. I don't like touching oil. So now to remove it, I usually use the same thing I used for the screw. What you do is you take this and very carefully, you just lift up that. It pops right out of the hole. You might think that's hard to put back in, but it's really not. You just guide it in and it kind of goes right on its own. And after that, you just push this side out. Remember which side this is on, since this is technically the left side. Just organization is key, guys. Just do these little things to help you remember which way goes where. Keep it nice and simple, like, oh, which side is this going? Oh, it's on the left side, and I believe this goes on the left side. Otherwise, why would I put it there or something? I don't know. That's what I do. This video is going to be kind of rambly, guys, because I kind of have to show you what I'm doing. I'm having a hard time finding dialogue to go with it. Alright, so for the most part, this thing is ready to fall apart. What you want to do now is just hold the back end, hold this end right here, and this part just rolls all the way down, and the hole is wide enough at the bottom for you just to be able to slide that right out. And there you go. Put this somewhere safe as well. And this knife is seriously ready to fall apart. So now you just place it down, and there you have it. Alright. So this knife is fully disassembled, as you can see. Now for the cleaning portion of this, you just take a rag, something like this you don't mind using to possibly get cut, as you may notice. I just used some acetone, actually correction, exactly what I used is some nail polish remover that has acetone in it. I find that it works just fine. Nothing fancy. I try to avoid fancy things because it's a lot easier to get non-fancy things, and not a lot of people can afford fancy things, so I should probably be doing this on camera. Well, yeah, so I try to avoid going for fancy stuff. Take the Fossil washer, put it in between the napkin, between your fingers, and just kind of rub off all the dirt, grime. Trying to remember which way is which with this knife. I believe it's the other way. So when it comes time to put back in a phosphor bronze washer, the key is to remember which way you had it, because the smoother side is going to be the side you want to touch the blade. And I believe, yep, so let's see if I can show this off. So you can tell which side it needs to be on by which side is smoother. And how this is showing on camera, but this side is smoother. So this is going to be the side you want to go facing the blade. So it would go back in like this, like that. Easy peasy, a lemon squeezy. Place that down somewhere. I like to do things in order from top to bottom, so I started with cleaning off the scales, and then I cleaned off this liner that was, on the top. Cleaned off the washer, now I'm going to clean off the blade. Now, in order to clean the inside of this pivot hole, what I usually do is I just scrunch up the napkin, pass it through like this. Make sure not to cut myself with the blade. That would be a very me thing to do. There you have it, guys. That's how you make your little kunai throwing star. No, sorry. Saw an opportunity and I took it. That should do it for cleaning the inside. Yeah, it looks fine. This is the pivot. I don't like this pivot screw design. I like the Spyderco one, where one of these is this as well. So like the threading end is the hollow pivot that the other pivot screws into. I prefer that. It eliminates a part, makes disassembly is much easier. I am a simple man and I appreciate simplicity. And that is not something that you're gonna really get with knives. At least not the cheaper knives. I've noticed that the more expensive a knife is, usually the simpler it is. And this is true because you get knives that are anywhere from $3 to $6, even higher $100, and you'll end up getting them with titanium integral handle stuffs, where it's all one piece of titanium. All you have to unscrew is usually just the pivot. Sometimes even the stinking pocket clip is integral. So seriously, disassembly is so easy, and that's just the higher in price you go. That's what you can expect. At least that's what I've come to expect. Alright guys, this thing has been completely disassembled and cleaned. Now it's time to lubricate it and put it back together. I highly recommend nano oil. Weight 10 usually for everyday purposes. MAcabre also has a video talking about the items he uses for his disassemblies and whatnot. Nano oil weight 10 is also on that. I, however, do not have that because it's hard to come by and I have to buy it online. I don't feel like waiting. So I just got some chain lube locus oil product incorporated. Penetrates, lubricates, and extends chain and sprocket life. That's irrelevant though. I use this because it's similar to weight 10 nano oil. I can't stress enough how much I hate reassembling a knife. It is by far the hardest part of any disassembly, the reassembly. Make sure that whole area is clean. Apply some oil. This is a bit much. Just wipe off the excess. I know a lot of you guys are probably looking at this in horror like, oh, what is he doing? And that's a fair point. This is a pretty guttural way of doing this, but it works. It's cheap and fast. And I like my videos to be for the people who can't do things professionally or amazingly as people who can afford to. People who are patient. I like to live on the edge, my dudes. No, I'm kidding. I'll just put a couple of drops there, there, and there. Put my stop pin back in. Don't mind me. Yes. Push them right here and there. The key is to re-lubricate all the parts you know the blade is going to be coming in contact with the other parts of the blade, yada yada. That being said, it's usually a good rule of thumb with G-locks and axis locks and liner locks is to put some oil all along this portion because this gets contact with the little bar I have somewhere over there. I don't know if you guys, oh yeah, it's in view, right here, that bar. Lubricate this. Throw phosphor bronze washer back in. That's another thing, that's a nitpick I have with the knife, is that it only has one phosphor bronze washer, whereas the other one is, yep, a word I'm forgetting, Teflon. Throwing this back on, but beforehand, lubing it up, being careful all the while to not cut my, to not cut myself or throw things places. Safety is key. I forgot this thing has a backspacer in it. I should be able to just squeeze that right in though. Alright, so that was obnoxious, hard to do, but everything is in place where it needs to. Now we are ready to put the lock back in. This. Throw this in there like that. Put that up there. Alright, now the knife shouldn't be moving around as much because the lock is technically in place. Show side, show side. If you ever have a hard time remembering which spring goes where, it's very easy. Just know that this end goes down and the loopy end goes on the lock bar, so just, you know, match it up. we go. That's down like that. Now we set this down. Grab our handy, very, very tiny flathead. Alright, moving on. Just lift that up and use this and very carefully guide it to the hole. Ah! That may happen on occasion. Not to worry. Now let's get it to the hole, you just push it in. And yep, that is in place. Now we just do the other side. And just guide this little guy to the hole. I'm expecting jokes in the comment. Of course, that's if anyone even gets far enough into my video to see this part. A lot of people are gonna be skipping, I know. Long videos deserve to get skipped, so I usually keep them short. I think deserve to get skipped, they shouldn't be getting skipped. What's the point of watching a video if you're not gonna watch it? You're missing content. Believe it or not, that's why I try not to skip videos. Because believe it or not, you miss so much. So much with the person's character, just because it's not getting to the point of what you're there for. Alright, that's in. All of this is looking good so far, guys. I think the longest, most difficult part of this video is trying to determine what gets cut and what doesn't. I have a feeling this video is going to be a lot shorter than the rough video is going to be. Rough video is going to be like roughly 25-ish minutes. Puns are my thing, guys. So if you hear me punning a lot, it's because it's, as I said, kind of my thing. No. Just as a rule of thumb, ow, sucker. Just as a rule of thumb, I like to have the pivot screw on the lock side all the way tight, and I adjust the tightness with the one on the show side. Alright, let's do this. I'm using the wrong tool. I really wish I had that stinking T6 torque bit. Screw this on. Hopefully it doesn't provide any unnecessary pain. Damn it. I really do hate dealing with hardware. This is just the most obnoxious, most tedious part. Right. Luckily the back screws are so easy to work with. I mean, seriously. Very joy. Alright. I try not to over tighten them because one, you never know if you have to disassemble it. And two, you never want to strip it, because that would suck. Damn it, there we go. I both love and hate this stinking tool. What is this thing called? Gorilla Grip Fold Up Tools by Bonus. If you guys are interested in any of the tools I'm using, this Gorilla Grip by Bonus, yada yada, or the Kershaw TX Tool, which I love and highly recommend, there will be a link in the description for both of them. Jesus. There will be a link down in the description for both of them. You can just check them out on Amazon. And also, if you're interested in this knife, again, highly recommended. There will also be a link for it in the description At this point, what I like to do is just put the blade away. That way it can't harm me. As you can see, my nitpick is still there. One side is recessed, whereas the other side is flush. What? The side is flush, and this side is not. Same thing on the other side. It's very annoying, but whatever. And I just noticed that this knife is in great condition currently. It's off. The blade centering doesn't want to focus on its own. There we go. The blade centering is really good. As you guys can see, it's darn near perfect. And the action, it doesn't have a pocket clip, so excuse me if this is bad, but the action is superb. Remember the other day when I was doing the 3 knives challenge, this knife was crapping out on me? Yeah, it's not happening anymore. This knife is beautiful all over again. Yay. Just to put back on the pocket clip, I'm going to be skipping this. I'm going to be jump cutting from here because it's just putting back on a pocket clip. It's the exact same as taking it off, except screwing clockwise rather than counterclockwise. There you have it, guys. Pocket clip is back on. The knife is fully reassembled. It was fully disassembled, put back together. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right guys? I'm sure a lot of my viewers already know how to do this because they're knife nuts. This video is predominantly for the guys that don't. The guys that have knives just for either look or for protection, or they're just getting into knives because they feel like they need one for work or they just think it's cool. This is for those guys, the noobs if you will. Well guys, that's it. This is how you disassemble, maintain, and reassemble an Axis or G-lock knife. Alright guys, hope you found this video entertaining. This is John Grimm of Grimm Swords and Knives. Hope this video made your day a little less grim. Bye guys.